Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Irivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Irivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Gauranita Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. युगधर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jaya Mudiraye
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
So we're reading from Canto 5, Chapter 13, verse number 1. Brahmana uvacha Duratyaye dhvan ajaya niveshito Duratyaye dhvanyi ajaya niveshito Rajastama sattva vibhakta karmadruk Sayesha sarto artha paribhraman Bhavatavim yati na sarma vindati Duratyaye dhvanyi ajaya niveshito Rajastama sattva vibhakta karmadruk Sayesha sartortha paribhraman Bhavatavim yati na sharma vindati Duratyaye dhvanyi ajaya niveshito Rajastama sattva vibhakta karmadruk Sayesha sartortha paribhraman Bhavatavim yati na sharma vindati. Brahmana uvacha Duratyaye dhvanye ajaya niveshito Rajastama sattva vibhakta karmadruk Saesha sartortha paribhraman Bhavatavim nati na sharma vindati. Brahmana uvacha Duratyaye dhvanye ajaya niveshito Rajastama sattva vibhakta karmadruk Sayesha sartortha paribhraman Bhavatavim yati na sharma vindati. Brahmana uvacha Duratyaye dhvanye ajaya niveshito Rajastama sattva vibhakta karmadruk Sayesha sartortha paribhraman Bhavatavim yati na sharma vindati. Word to word meaning. Brahmana uvacha. The Brahmana Jadabharat continued to speak. Duratyaye, which is very difficult to traverse. Advani, on the path of fruitive activities. Performing actions in this life. Creating a body in the next life. By those actions. And in this way continuously accepting birth and death. Ajaya, by Maya,
by Maya,
the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
the external energy of the Supreme Personality of God,
Niveshitaha,
Niveshata,
caused to enter.
caused to enter.
Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, Vibhakta, Karmadruk,
Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, Vibhakta, Karma,
a continued soul, a conditioned soul,
a conditioned soul,
who sees only immediately
who sees only immediately
beneficial fruitive activities
beneficial fruitive activities
and their results,
and their results,
which are divided into
which are divided into
three groups
three groups
by the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
by the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Saha,
Saha,
he,
he,
Eshaha,
Esha,
this,
this,
Sa Arthaha,
Sartha,
the living entity,
the living entity,
falsely seeking sense gratification.
falsely seeking sense gratification.
Arthaparaha,
Arthaparaha,
intent upon gaining wealth.
intent upon gaining wealth.
Paribhraman,
Paribrahman,
wandering all over.
wandering all over.
Bhava Atavim,
Bhava,
the forest known as Bhava,
the forest known as Bhava,
which means the repetition of birth and death.
which means the repetition of birth and death.
Yati,
Yati,
enters.
enters.
Na,
Na,
not.
not.
Sharma,
Sharma,
happiness. Vindati,
Vindati,
obtains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Jada Bharat, who had fully realized Brahman, continued, my dear King Rahugana, the living entity wanders on the path of the material world, which is very difficult for him to traverse, and he accepts repeated birth and death. Being captivated by the material world under the influence of the three modes of material nature, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna, the living entity can see only the three fruits of activities under the spell of material nature. These fruits are auspicious, inauspicious, and mixed. He thus becomes attached to religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the monistic theory of liberation. Merging with the Supreme, he works very hard day and night, exactly like a merchant who enters a forest to acquire some articles to sell later for profit. However, he cannot really achieve happiness within this material world. Purport. One can very easily understand how difficult and insurmountable the path of sense gratification is. Not knowing what the path of sense gratification is, one becomes implicated in the repetition of birth and accepts different types of bodies again and again. Thus, one suffers in material existence. In this life, one may think that is very happy being an American, Indian, Englishman, or German. But in the next life, one has to accept another body among 84 lakh species. The next body has to be immediately accepted according to karma. One will be forced to accept a certain type of body, and protesting will not help. That is the stringent law of nature. Due to the living entity's ignorance of his eternal blissful life, he becomes attracted to material activities under the spell of Maya. In this world, he can never experience happiness. Yet he works very hard to do so. This is called Maya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha paditānām pāvanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for once again giving me this opportunity to recite and speak Bhagavatam to purify myself. So during the conversation of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes I may speak something beyond my authority of speaking, beyond my realizations. So just for the sake of service. So please forgive me, and if I commit any offenses during speaking or some philosophical mismatch is there, so please correct me without hesitate. So we are seeing from next chapter, that is verse chapter 13. So this is titled Rahugana Converses with Jadabharat. So if you observe from last 2-3 chapters, similar title is there. Talks between Jadabharat and Rahugana, or further talks and conversation, same thing. So from this chapter, so Jadabharat, he gives an example and starts explaining to Maharaj Rahugana. So he gives an example of a man who is in the forest, and he got escaped in the forest and trying his best to come out of it. But somehow he got entangled in the forest. He gives various examples and compares family members and all the others in various ways in the forest of the jungle. So that we'll see in the forest in the future verses how clearly it is, how a man gets entangled in the forest of material existence. So in today's verse, so we'll concentrate more on the basics. So if you see the whole Bhagavatam also, so tries to re-establish the same fact that how sense gratification should be condemned. It is not the right path for any sane human being. So sense gratification should be condemned, and think about the eternal life of spiritual bliss, to go back home, back to Godhead, and always be engaged in the service of the Lord. So in the same, if you see how in this verse also, so sense gratification is condemned. So we are in 5th canto right now, starting from the 1st canto, and now in the middle 5th, 7th canto, and finally till the last 12th canto also. The same thing is repeated again and again and again and again. So why Bhagavatam repeats again and again? So just to make our minds, brains fixed, yes, this is what is. So reminder is very much required. So that's why we are discussing Bhagavatam every single day. The same point is required. How Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are part and parcels of Krishna. How this material world is a difficult path, full of miseries, and how we have to go back home, back to Godhead. The same principles are repeated in different ways, in different case studies. So say similar case studies like this, Jadabharat and Rahugana. How Jadabharat is explaining to Rahugana how to come out of this material world. How difficult is this? And such verse is this one of the first verses. So how sense gratification should be condemned. So people in this material world think that materially being advanced is the actual happiness. But if you see, it is not the case. So Prabhupada always gives the example in his personal life also, how when he went to America, so he was just telling how these Americans have full in the sense, full opulence in the form of wealth, money, everything they have. The government is good, people are good, everything is there for them materially, but still they're completely frustrated. How hippies came up, they come out of the houses and they're trying something beyond this material happiness. So this proves that there is some spiritual need in the world. So from this pastime of Prabhupada, we can understand, so material happiness is not all in all. Even the people who have such completely, still they're completely frustrated. Example is the hippies. So just like a child, so when a small child is kept on a bed, suppose there are small bed bugs are there. We can understand there are bed bugs in the bed. But child cannot understand. When the worm comes and bites bug, bites the body, delicate body of a baby, and he starts crying. He don't know what it is. He starts crying loud for mommy, mommy, mommy. He cannot speak also mommy, but just crying, crying. He don't know what it is. So similarly, the same case with the every spirit soul in the world of miseries, in this dukkhalayam. He's crying, crying, crying for happiness, but he don't understand the real happiness is in the spiritual life. But only mother can understand. That is Krishna can understand. So living entity cannot be happy by any material activity in this world. Any material activity. For example, like Prabhupada gives the example of a fish. So fish will be happy only in the waters. So if it is coming out of the water, it is kept out of the water, it cannot be happy. It cannot be happy. So the real happiness is for the fish is to get into the water again. So our ambition should be aimed at enjoying the spiritual bliss, not this temporary happiness. Hankering after material happiness is called lust. And sure shot, so whoever is trying to meet with this lust, get happiness by satisfying this lust, will be ended in frustration finally. Only in frustration in the long run. So Prabhupada gives, I was reading this book called Elevation into Krishna Consciousness. In the small books also, Prabhupada with beautiful examples, he gives the complete philosophy, how Krishna consciousness is the essence of everyone's life. So one such example Prabhupada gives of a snake. So it's told that the snake body is very cool. So in the summer season, if one wants to experience the coolness, and if he takes the body of a snake and puts around him, he will die. So these senses are compared to like snakes. So when one starts enjoying these senses, so just like snake bites a human being, similarly senses also bites a human being. And finally, indulgence in material happiness will surely kill him, just like the snake. And he will lose this spiritual identity. Therefore, a sane man should be ambitious to find the source of the real happiness. And to know what is this real happiness, should have some information about what is real happiness. But in this material world, all the time we get some wrong information. For example, so a man asked how the sugar cane will be, what it is, looks like. He don't know about the sugar cane. So one man told, this sugar cane, it's similar to bamboo stick, looks similar. So he told this. So other man thought, oh, bamboo stick is the happiness, is the actual sugar cane. And he tried his best to get the juice, sugar cane juice from the bamboo stick. And finally he was completely frustrated. The same wrong information is given in this material world also. So thinking in this material world we get the real happiness. No, it is not the thing. So, but one who strives for happiness, the real happiness in this material world, he'll be frustrated like this. A man who is striving to get sugarcane juice from a bamboo stick. It's not possible. It's not possible. So finally, this material happiness completely ends up in frustration. So one has to understand that we are not these bodies. We are spirit souls. We are beyond these bodies. So as we know, everyone understood in the Festival of Enlightenment sessions how we are not these bodies. The example is given. So we wear a coat. And however nice we have the coat, if we don't care of the body within, so we will not be happy. However nice the coat is, how much ever the cost is. So similarly, we have to concentrate more on the platform of spirituality, that is as spirit soul. So what are we feeding to the spirit soul? So example is given, another nice example by Prabhupada. There is a chamber, bird chamber. So a bird is kept in the chamber. But we take care of the chamber very nicely, but not taking care of the bird inside. So bird will be starving. So similarly, we the spirit souls are the spirit soul within this body. We take care of this body very nicely, but don't care of the spirit soul within. We'll be frustrated, not get the real happiness. So one has to take care of the soul by feeding him spiritual life. So I've discussed the material life, material sense enjoyment is completely frustrated, especially in the bodily platform, on the body. So when one gets frustrated by enjoying the senses, 5 gross senses, he will get it to the platform of mental platform. And he starts getting enjoyment through this mental platform, like writing poetry and LSD, marijuana, thinking something higher. But finally, it is also getting frustrated. We can see the example in the Prabhupada's life, the hippies, how they are. Materially, they are very sophisticated, very nice. So they are searching for something higher. So they couldn't find something higher. So they took up this LSD, drugs, marijuana. Still they're frustrated until unless Prabhupada came and gave them the real happiness of Krishna consciousness. So the real happiness is not on the bodily platform, nor on the mental platform, nor on the intellectual platform, but on the spiritual platform. So one has to come to the platform of spirituality, on the spirit soul platform. Only then one can understand the real happiness is. The same thing is given by Krishna in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says, Sukham atyantikam yat tat atindriya grahyam. So he says, atindriya. So beyond these material senses, the spiritual senses. So one can get the real happiness to go, one has get this only when goes above the three modes of material nature. That is above these gross senses. When one comes to the platform of spirituality, then one can get actual real happiness. So there is no happiness in this material world. So Prabhupada says number of times to his disciples. So members of Krishna conscious society should be convinced that there is no happiness in this material world. So Prabhupada repeats this number of times. And whatever happiness we are getting that on the bodily platform, it's already destined. It's already destined. So why to strive for that? So Prahlad Maharaj tells us, is describing to his friends about this. Sukham aindritikam taitya deha yogena dehinam sarvatra labhyate daivad yata dukkam ayatnataha. Prahlad Maharaj says, telling this to his friends. My dear friends, born of demonic families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense object by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life, according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without any endeavor. So just as we obtain a distress. So we don't specifically strive for distress, but automatically it comes. So similarly, happiness also it comes just like this, according to our past karma. So why are you striving for this happiness instead of strive for Krishna consciousness? Come above the bodily platform. The same instruction is given by Rishabdev to his 100 sons. So Nayam Deho Deho Dehinam Nayam Deho Deha Bhajam Riloke Kastan Kama Nartahe Vid Bhujam Ye Tapo Divyam Putra Kayena Sattvam Shuddhe Yasmat Brahma Saukyam Tvanantam. So Rishabdev is instructing his 100 sons. What is he telling? So my dear boys, all the living entities who accepted these material bodies in this world, who has been awarded this human form, should not work very hard and night simply for sense gratification. Because this sense gratification is available even for dogs, hogs, those who eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to gain what? The divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified. And when attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to the material happiness and which continues forever. So Rishabdev is instructing his sons. So don't indulge in this sense gratification, which is available in all the forms of life. So instead, what should be done? So what should be engaged in penance or austerity. So by doing this austerity and penance, one can come out of this material sense gratification and attain the real bliss of Krishna consciousness. The same thing is repeated in number of verses in the Bhagavatam, repeated again and again and again and again. So what one should do? One should practice penance or austerity. So austerity or penance is like a training. So training of controlling the senses, restraining the senses from sense gratification. The more we restrain our senses from sense gratification, the more we are out of this material clutches. The more we are like this. So after understanding what should you do, so one should think how to attain that. How to attain that real peace of mind. So by nature's process, so we are bound of this material nature and we are bound to get some happiness or distress according to our karma. So for example, a person born in a poor family, so you shouldn't think that I have to become a materialist. It's already distant, his happiness is distant. Instead, what he should think, I got this happiness, I got this body, so according to my body, according to my karma, I get some happiness, very nice. Then what should I do for? Should strive, how can I progress in Krishna consciousness? So that is how we can manage our time. we can manage our time to progress in Krishna consciousness. So the same Rishabdev and Prahlad Maharaj repeating the same instructions. How this body is very rare. So in the all other forms of life, in animal life also, you get happiness, same material sense gratification. But as a human being, one should think of the happiness beyond this material world, which there is no end for it. There is no end for it. So what one should do, understand the importance of human life. Only in this human form of life, one can think of the real happiness. Who am I? So how I got this body? Why am I suffering in this body? How to attain Krishna consciousness? How to go back home, back to Godhead? So how rare is this human form? So Prahlad Maharaj says in one of the sloka, Shariram tato yatetish kushalam. My dear friends, therefore so long the body is not fallen, or so long the death does not come, one must strive for this highest form of blissful, highest benediction. Sister, Shariram tato yateta kushalam. So till this body, human form of body dies, so we have to strive to get that real happiness of Krishna consciousness. So if we discuss or tell the same Bhagavad Gita Srimad Bhagavatam to a dog, to any animal, it cannot understand. It cannot understand. Only human being can get this wonderful opportunity to understand who am I, all these stuffs. So it's very, very important to get this human form of life. And after getting this, still if one is engaged in sense gratification, so Srimad Bhagavatam says, he is no less than an animal. He is no less than an animal. So you have to understand how important this human form of life is and strive for the eternal happiness. I understood very nicely all these stuff. Human form of life is very important. Sense gratification should be condemned. After understanding philosophically all this stuff, still Maya is so powerful. Still it gives lot of allurements. Still you will be happy. Even in devotee association, even in brahmachari ashram also, still we get lot of allurements. From this you will get sense gratification. So externally we have left everything, but still mind says. So what is the last snare of Maya? Puja, Labha, Pratishta. So after leaving everything grossly, but the mind is there. So Maya attacks through the mind. So may I get nice position, may I become the president or heads of so many temples or so many centers. I may get lot of respect from that people. So I become more and more famous by becoming a preacher, especially youth preacher. I'll have a lot of videos. So in this way, Maya attacks. Externally we left everything, but mind is there to get name, fame, prestige. So that's why it's told. So last snare of Maya is this puja, labha, pratishta. So to come out of this, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. So same thing. So Krishna says, Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarandate. So this Maya is very, very difficult to overcome, O Krishna, O Arjuna. So what should be done? One has to surrender unto me, one has to surrender to Krishna to come out of this Maya. So it's very, very difficult to come out of this Maya. So same Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, even one sense is engaged in sense gratification, that can take away or drown us in this material world. So as we already discussed, so we have various senses we have, like a tongue we have. So by having this strong sense of tongue, so how the fish is caught by a fisherman. By having this strong sense of genitals, having all the time the attitude to enjoy sense gratification through sex. How the elephant is caught. Later we have seen how a deer, though it has a nice sense of hearing, she wants to hear music. So how a hunter hunts or catches the deer by playing a flute, nice music. So each and every sense for each different animals, different senses are very, very difficult to overcome. But for a human being, all the senses are strong. All the senses are strong. So we can imagine how difficult for a human being to come out of this Maya, to come out of this Maya, control the senses, how difficult it is. So one should be, we have this Mahaprasadi Govinda, we discuss and chant this sloka every day before having prasadam. So there we get Jada Indriya Tahekal. Jada Indriya, these senses which are there, Jada. So these are like Tahekal. So these, when one engaged in the sense gratification through the senses, so what happens? These senses will give him death. Tahekal. They're so dangerous. So dangerous. So Prabhupada says once again, everyone to his disciples, The only problem with my disciples is that they are not scared of Maya. So one should have this healthy fear of Maya. If not, what happens? One easily can fall victim to Maya. So for example, many of you already heard about this story. There is a nice story between Vyasadeva and his disciple Gemini Rishi. Gemini Rishi and Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva is giving the same Bhagavatam class to Gemini Rishi. How Maya is very difficult to overcome. All this stuff he told. And Gemini Rishi started telling, yeah, it's okay, but we are all Rishis. We're staying in the forest. It's not so difficult. So Gemini Rishi has this contemplation. He is not scared of Maya. So Vyasadeva want to test. So Vyasadeva left that hut. And Gemini Rishi was alone in the hut. So he was sleeping in the night. So suddenly it was a huge winter day. Huge rain is falling. It's very, very cold weather also. And Gemini Rishi happily sleeping in the hut. And there are various versions of this story. One version I could hear. So I was just sharing that. So in the night, when in the midnight, Gemini Rishi was happily sleeping in the hut. Suddenly he is able to hear some sounds, some female sounds from outside the hut. Some ankle bell sound is coming. And the lady saw voices hearing, please help, please help, please help. And Gemini Rishi woke up and opened the door. And there was a lady. She was drowning in the rains. She was asking help. Gemini Rishi, you are great Rishi, please help me, I'm drowning in the waters. And Gemini Rishi, with so much of compassion, Rishi, right? She asked her, you please come inside, you please stay in the hut, I'll go out. And Gemini Rishi went out and he gave all the necessary things for that lady to get dried from the water and sleep nicely. And Gemini Rishi started contemplating on this girl who is in the wet clothes. And he was sleeping, trying to sleep outside the hut, but in the mind took away, contemplating on that lady. And he got this agitation of sexual desire. And he woke up. He started knocking the door. Before this, he told all that lady also before, even if you sleep nicely, close the door inside. Even if I come and knock the door, don't open. He tells this to that girl. And same thing happens. And Gemini Rishi wakes up with the sexual desire. He knocks the door of that lady. Please open the door, please open the door. This lady says, you only told not to open the door. And you're asking to open the door. Please open. And she is not opening. So what Gemini Rishi does? He goes up the top of the hut. He opens and he goes down. He jumps down into the hut. And finally he could see that lady is none other than Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva. Then he turns and, oh Gurudev, you! Then he tells, oh Gemini Rishi, understood? So how difficult is Maya? We are maybe great rishis, practicing these austerities for many, many lifetimes, for many years. But Maya is very, very powerful. So we shouldn't be thinking that I can overcome Maya, because Maya can attack in any way, at any point of time. So one should be very, very careful about Maya. So one should be scared of Maya, should have that healthy fear. So that's what Prabhupada says again and again. So one should have the healthy fear of Maya, or it's very, very difficult to come over it. So one can easily pray to Maya. So just like how we can see the example of this. So even in ISKCON also we see how great stalwart sannyasis have fell down like this. Because Maya is very powerful, very powerful. So what is the solution then? What is the solution to come out of this Maya? So one should be surrendered to Krishna. Mam evaye prapadyante. So until unless one surrenders to Krishna, one cannot come out of this clutches of Maya. So how we can surrender? So we are bound in these three ropes. So guna means qualities, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. So another meaning of guna is rope. So a living entity in this world is bound up by three ropes, by mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. And who can help us? The one who is out of the bound of three ropes, yes or no? So who is that? Krishna. So Krishna was the one who is above the three modes of material nature. So what is a Shastric example? What is a Shastric reference that Krishna is above, beyond the three modes? So Krishna, he himself is. In the before sloka, 7:14 is telling, one has to surrender unto me. So the same sloka before, 7:13. So where Krishna is telling, Tribir gunamayer bhave ebhi sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabi janati mamebhyah param avyayam. So Krishna himself is declaring, deluded by the three modes, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the three modes and inexhaustible. So Krishna himself is personally telling, I am that personality who is above the three modes of material nature. So he's concluding this, giving this, I am the above the three modes of material nature. So Arjuna, one has to surrender unto me, so that we can come out of these three modes. So either Krishna or a disciple of Krishna or a representative of Krishna. So he's a bona fide spiritual master. So when one follows Krishna, following his teachings in a proper way, he also will become a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master. So Prabhupada, a number of times he gives this example. So when a rod is kept in a fire for a long time, so after some time if you remove that, so if you touch that rod, it acts just like a fire. Means this iron rod is no more than an iron rod. It's fire. So it's fiery. So similarly, when one engages in Krishna consciousness all the time, he also will become spiritualized. So he is a spiritual master. He is the one who is always engaged in the service of Krishna. So when he is completely spiritualized, since we are not in direct connection with Krishna, so Krishna has given this wonderful spiritual masters, acharyas to us, so that we can follow them and practice devotional service. So one has to surrender unto Krishna. Surrender unto Krishna means surrendering to Krishna and surrendering to his bona fide representative. That is to the spiritual master. So the question is, so this Maya is very powerful. How this Maya is very powerful? So in the 7th chapter, 4th verse and 4th and 5th verses, so Krishna is giving the definition of some material energy. So Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kammano, Buddhirevacha. So these are the 8 different separated material energy of Maya. That is Maya. And the next sloka is telling, Aparayamitasvanyam prakritam vidyame param. Jiva bhuta mahabaho daryate jagat. So Krishna is telling this spirit soul which is there, this is above the three modes. This is the superior energy. And Maya is the inferior energy. Then how this superior energy come in contact with the material energy? So superior energy should be above, na? So why it's bound? So even if it is bound, why it is difficult for a spirit soul to come out of this bound of material nature? So Krishna gives in the same purport, Prabhupada writes, because Krishna has a number of energies. So this Maya is also external energy. That is also energy of Krishna. Since this is the energy of Krishna, it is very difficult for a spirit soul to come out of this. Because Krishna is all powerful. So Krishna's energy is also all powerful. Yes or no? So spiritual energy is all powerful. Material energy is all powerful. And we Tatastha Shakti, spirit souls are also all powerful. But somehow or the other, so Prabhupada reads this statement, somehow or the other, the spirit soul come in contact with the material energy and got bound. So that's why even though spirit soul is a part of, means is a spiritual and material both, since it belongs to higher energy, still is bound up, and it's very difficult for the spirit soul to come out of this material energy, because this material energy is also energy of Krishna. So that's why it's very difficult to come out. So what one has to do? Finally, to surrender unto Krishna. So what to surrender? So there are 6 aspects of surrender. So Mam, so another word, so Mam Eva. Mam means is directly representing only Krishna and no one else. No one else. So even Shiva confirms this. So Shiva says this, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnureva Na Samshayaha. So Lord Shiva is telling, so who can provide mukti, who can provide us freedom from this material world? Only Vishnu. And there is no doubt about this. Lord Shiva is telling. So one has to surrender only to Krishna or Vishnu. So how to surrender? So there are 6 aspects of surrender, or a definition of surrender. So everyone knows this. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshayishiti vishwaso, gopratritya varnam tata, atma nikshepa karpanyo, shadvidi sharanagadihi. So these are the 6 aspects of surrender. So first 2 are even more important. All of us as sadhakas. Anukulyasya sankalpaha. So whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, that should be accepted. So one of that is visiting dhams. Visiting dhams. So it is also favorable for us to progress in Krishna consciousness. So that's why we arrange so many yatras. So that's why we arranged Mayapur yatra also this Sunday. So going to various dhams. So just like we're in the material world and all these times. So we energize ourselves during morning program, and later point of the day we go out and preach. So that is what expected. and we get our batteries down when we go for book distribution, pass distribution, for preaching activities, and we come back and get this charger again, ourselves charged and go out again. But these dhams are like booster chargers. They immediately charge us to a full extent. So that's why one has to visit these dhams frequently. In Prabhupada says at least once or twice in a year one has to come to these dhams, leaving all the preaching activities, come to dhams, recharge ourselves with Krishna consciousness and bounce back on the material world in the form of preaching. In the form of preaching. Bounce back, we cannot go against it, but we can preach. Help others, conditioned souls, to get back into the Krishna consciousness. So this Mayapur Dham is glorious, how Vaibhav Krishna Bhagwan Kartikeya Prabhu very nicely described, how this Dham is very, very powerful and very, very potent. So one of those glories, I would like to just repeat this. So repetition is very good, right? So that we can fix that in our mind. So how this Mayapur Dham will not vanquish. Other Dhams are there which may be decreasing in their potency. But Mayapur Dham, its potency just keeps on increasing more and more and again. So it's very auspicious to go there and recharge ourselves with Krishna consciousness from Mayapur Dham. So what is this Mayapur Dham? It is a Dham made by Radharani personally. And she made the Gauranga told that even Gaurahari will never this place. Just like how Krishna will never leave Vrajabhumi, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will never leave this Mayapur Dham. He personally present over there. So Krishna being our Supreme Father, he is very, very kind to us. So much kind. So he tells in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja ham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. So Krishna is telling, everyone should surrender unto me, practice bhakti unto me. And so that he will leave all the, give away or eradicate all the sinful reactions of the living souls. But Krishna is known as Jagat Guru. Krishna Vande Jagat Guru. So Guru means what? He just not preaches. He also, as Acharya, shows how to do it. But Krishna is known as Jagat Guru. He just telling Sarvadharma Parityaja. He is telling everyone to practice bhakti. But he himself never practiced. Yes or no? Then how can he be called as a Guru? Guru means what? He preaches and also teaches by his own personal practice. So Krishna never done this. He just is telling, he's just preaching to Arjuna and all the whole world. One has to practice bhakti, but he's never done this. So that's why to teach us, so he comes in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He told Sarva Dharman Parityaja, but how to do it? Everyone is confusion. So to show Sarva Dharman Parityaja, so Krishna comes in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki! Yes. So he comes in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and shows how to practice bhakti, how to surrender to Krishna, and gives this wonderful mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, telling her to us to chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So by chanting, what happens? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. All the material contamination is there within our heart, material desires. So how one can come out of this? By chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra attentively, very nicely, and visiting these places. So much love Krishna has got for all of us. As Krishna is just instructing, as Mahaprabhu, he comes and distribute this love of Godhead. He just distribute. So as Prabhuju was nicely mentioning now, there is a difference between Karuna and Kripa. So Mahaprabhu is Karunamai or Kripamai? Karunamai. Paka? I was confused, that's why I was asking you. Yes. Kripamai, Karunamai? Karunamai. Okay. So Kripamai means when we go in front of the Lord and ask, Krishna, I want to surrender to you, then Krishna will take charge of us. But Mahaprabhu is different. Even though we don't want to surrender, Mahaprabhu comes behind us and gives this Kripa, mercy. So that's why it's known as Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate. So there's a nice example. So we're writing an exam. So Krishna says, so write this exam, I'll correct you. And Mahaprabhu comes and tells, you just write a question paper, I will correct. I just come for the examination hall and write the exam. Even if you write something, I will pass you. So that's what Mahaprabhu's mercy is. So much mercy. And even more merciful is the descendants of Mahaprabhu, spiritual master, all the gurus. They tell, you don't come also, I will come to your house. You just write your name and just give me, I will pass you. So this is the mercy of the whole parampara. The more we go down in the Acharya line, the more merciful are we. The more merciful are they. So he says, right, Harikshatra Prabhuji gives all this example. So to see objects which are very farther. So to see them clearly, we need number of magnifying glasses. So the number of more magnifying glasses are there in between that farther object and us, the more clearer the object is. So similarly, the more people, superiors we have in between the Lord and us, the more clarity we get, understanding of Krishna, the more clarity we get about Krishna. So we are very fortunate. We have so many devotees around us, so many superiors to give us the understanding of Krishna consciousness. So that's why Mahaprabhu is very merciful, coming down in this material world just to give us this bhakti and helping us to come out of this material world and helping us to go to Mayapur also. As Mayapur is told, as we discussed, not anyone and everyone can get to these dhams. Very difficult. Many people can book the tickets. Yesterday also Prabhu was discussing, some people are cancelling the tickets because some or the other issue. So it's not easy to get to the dham. Very difficult. Until and unless we have the mercy of the Lord, we cannot get to the Lord. We cannot get to these dhams. So there is no difference between, however, there is no difference between the Lord, His holy name, His dham, His qualities in past times. There is no difference. And dham is also another form of Krishna. So to understand, to go to the form of Krishna, that is Mayapur also, we need the mercy of Krishna. It's not so easy. So I just remember this 4 or 5 years back. So when I was coming to Mayapur, as I always shared with you, somehow I got into the train by the mercy of the Lord. There are many people who missed the train. Tickets were booked. Everything is set. But they missed the train. And they missed the whole yatra. So this we can understand. We need the mercy of the Lord even to go to the dham. Yesterday Prabhuji was mentioning a nice point. So whatever offenses we have committed till now, by just entering the dham, all the offenses will be removed. All the offenses. And offenses are one of the most important obstacle for a devotee. Very difficult obstacle for a devotee to progress on Krishna consciousness. We are doing all the Navabhita Bhakti, we are doing service, we are doing preaching, everything we are doing. But there is no good amount of progress. Good amount of progress. Only because of offenses. So how to come out of these offenses? One nice solution is this. By just stepping in the dham, we can get rid of all offenses. But there is a disclaimer. Until unless we have that complete faith and conviction, this will happen. It is not going to happen. So we can cultivate that faith. Just stepping on the dham, I can get rid of all the offenses. Then we can progress in Krishna consciousness very nicely. After coming back, it's another issue. But still, the point we step on the dham, especially Mayapur dham, we can come out of this offenses mentality also. So that we can progress more on Krishna consciousness. So whenever we go to yatra, it's a nice time for us. We will not have much service. No cooking is there. Nothing is there. So only organizing team will be there, will be in the organizing team. So others, all of us can increase our hearing, increase our chanting process. So it's already recommended. So whenever we go to dhams, so we can increase our chanting also, maybe 32 rounds, 64 rounds, how many are possible. So it will help us. So that dose will help us. Dose will help us when we come back also. So that Krishna consciousness, what we have got charged in the dham, so that will help us even after coming also. So if we are now, suppose we are chanting 32 rounds, 64 rounds for the next 5-6 days in the dham. So after coming back, we'll think, oh, at that time I chanted so many rounds. Why not time now? So this will act as impetus for us to chant more and more. So in this way, we can take the advantage of the Lord, the knowledge of the Lord, the holy name of the Lord, the dham of the Lord, to recharge ourselves, to progress more and more in the path of bhakti. So just to conclude today's discussion, so we have seen how sense gratification should be condemned completely because it ends up only in frustration finally. So on the bodily platform, one becomes frustrated, so later he comes on the platform of mental speculation. So on the mental platform, he tries to get some satisfaction. So finally, on the mental platform also, you get finally frustrated completely. So finally, one has to think the only happiness comes, the real happiness comes on the platform of spirituality, on the platform of spirit soul. So one has to get this knowledge and work. So we come onto this spiritual platform and understand this knowledge only in the human form of life, not in the other form of life. So this human form of life is very important. And then we have to utilize, do tapasya. So what is tapasya? Prabhupada has given for us. chanting minimum 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra and following the 4 regulative principles. This is the austerity Prabhupada says. And this is the, since it's a preaching movement, so you have to preach. So this is the austerity. One practices austerity, one becomes purified in the heart and come to Krishna consciousness. But also understanding all these stuffs theoretically, in the practically also on the spiritual platform, but still Maya is so powerful, can make us come down again into sense gratification. So one should have a healthy fear of Maya. How we have seen the example of Jaimini Rishi. Even though he is such a great personality, disciple of Vyasadeva, can you imagine? He is personally in touch with Vyasadeva. Still he got deluded by this Maya. So one should have this healthy fear of Maya and surrender into Krishna, following the 6 aspects of surrender, starting with Anukulyasya Sankalpa and visiting dhams like this. So we can recharge our batteries more and more and increase our progress in our Krishna consciousness. So with this, I would like to conclude. If there are any questions, you can take. If no questions, we can wind up. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.